The Basics of Term Paper Writing. I'm James Carey at the University of California, Davis. The purpose of this playlist is to outline a strategy for producing a high-quality research term paper. My overall plan is based on knowledge I have gained in writing strategies I have developed as a UC Davis professor in both research and teaching capacities. My overarching goal is to give students the technical and strategic roadmap for writing a high-quality research term paper. Number 1. Show all formatting marks such as tabs, page breaks, spaces, and paragraphs. This way you can easily see if you've added an extra space in between words or added type spaces instead of tab character and so on. To do this, click the Office button and then click Display and then click Show All Formatting Marks. As an example, in Word, you can see the paragraph marks and the tab marks while word processing, none of which show up when you print the document. Number 2. Set your typeface for either Times Roman or California FP. Use 11-point font for compactness, although 12-point font is used more commonly. Number 3. Set the margins. To do this, go to the page layout and then click Margins, and then enter 1-inch margins for the top and bottom and 1.5-inch margins for the left and right. For the first page header, click Page Layout and then click Separate First Page. This enables you to number all pages except for the first. Number 4. Set paragraph parameters at Justified Alignment, 0.5 inches indentation, and 6-point spacing after each paragraph. Set the line spacing at exact 15 point. Note that this is different than single or double spacing. For this precision spacing, the point count for spacing depends on the font size. In this case, 15-point exact spacing works best with 11-point font. Number 5. Use headings and subheadings in your styles options. There are a number of reasons why it is important to learn styles in Word, one of which is to use the headings to collapse your term paper to outline form. In this example, the paper consists of 6 main headings, 2 of which have 3 subheadings. Coding your headings and subheadings using the Styles option on the Home menu will enable you to zoom in and out between the full document and the outline. Number 6. Learn to create professional-looking tables. Go to the Insert menu to insert a table with the appropriate numbers of rows and columns. Then learn how to use Merge Cells and Distribute Rows and Distribute Columns option in the Layout menu, and the Border feature located in the Home menu. Example table is given here with both the non-printing and printing borders showing up as well. Note in the printed version shown here. The labeling of the rows and the columns, as well as the use of the internal and external borders, creates a clean look. Number 7. The use of shortcut strokes saves time and is often much more convenient than going through the menu. These universal shortcut strokes all use Control plus a letter, including C to copy, V to paste, B to bold, I to italics, U for underline, P for print, S for save, and Z for undo. Number 8. Use your ruler to adjust your paragraph indents. This seems obvious, but many people use tab and therefore limit their formatting flexibility. Set the top tab to the desired indent, which is typically 1/2 inch, although this distance can be easily adjusted. Number 9. Use color in paper drafts. Use either the highlighting or font color options in the Home menu. These are handy in the early stages of the draft revision cycle of term paper writing because the colors can be used to call attention to a sentence or section that needs attention or references that need to be highlighted. Number 10. Use the tools on the Review menu to check your spelling and grammar, to find synonyms using the thesaurus, and to find out how many words you've written. I will end this I'll close out this section of the video showing the most recent version of this model term paper. So page 1, you can see the title has been expanded from Lifespan to Lifespan Conceptual, Evolutionary, and Demographic Perspectives. Page 2, you can see they added the table of contents. Page 3, you can see that the Margins have been expanded, and also we have exact spacing and a slightly different font, not Times Roman, but California FB. Then you can see page 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All of these are more or less the same as the earlier version. So let's look at it overall. You can see all 10 pages there laid out beautifully. And we'll just go through a checklist here. It's well-researched paper. It's well-framed paper. The writing is solid, and it's technically nearly flawless. All of the same traits that you want to shoot for in your own term papers. Here I'll explain the typography best practice requirement for the term paper. Much of this is taken from Butterick's Practical Typography 2nd edition. You can see the URL there right below there. It's a wonderful book. So let's start with spacing. I use page 3, the introductory page, for the example here. So we have 15-point exact spacing. That is 130% of our 11-point font. So that you see here, the line spacing target zone is 120 to 145% of the font size. So 11-point font, we use 15-point spacing. 16-point font, if we were to use that, it would be 21-point spacing. And 20-point font, you use larger spacing, of course, 26-point spacing. Now, when we look at single space, which we could get from Word, look at this, how dense this is really relative to the one on the left. It's just slightly too dense. It's 115 point of the font size, and it just does not make as optimal spacing for reading as it does on the left there. Now let's look at 1.5. This is 175% of the font. It's a little bit too loose, and so relative again to the one we use on the left. And then we go to double spacing. This is really a whole nother concept. It's 230% of font. It's not optimal for reading, but it might be for editing, for example, since there's plenty of space there. So again, we look at our 15-point exact spacing on the left. That would be more optimally spaced than any of these others. Next, we go to margins. And of course, we use a 1-inch top and bottom, and then a 1.5 inch on the sides for the term paper. Now see here, the line length target zone is really 45 to 90 characters across, that is per line. And so we see here, this is about 88 characters across, give or take, for our paper, which is optimal. Whereas we go to, if we had a 0.5 inch margins, we'd have 124 characters across. This is not optimal. You can see how long those lines are. They're way too long. And even with 1 inch margins, you end up with 107 characters across. Again, that's too long. So we go back to our term paper margins of 1.5 inches on each side, and that would be more for optimal reading. Next, we go to space after. I require 6-point space after everything. Basically, it's a 6-point space after the headings and subheadings, as well as after the paragraphs. Okay, now we see here, if we don't have space after, none of these are really set apart. It's just too dense. It's not as optimal for reading. So that's why we use a 6-point space after in the term paper. Next, to go to table formatting, and that is, you see no grid here in this table. We have a spanner at the top of the heading and at the bottom of the heading to set them apart from the content, and then we have a spanner at the bottom of the whole table. And you can see here that we use white space to separate out content and not grid lines. So you see here, if we had grid lines, it's really basically grid clutter. You do not need that relative to the one on the left there. This is just clean formatting per tables. So there's several examples of why typography is really important in a term paper. It improves the appearance and ease of reading. Advantages and utility of style sheets. There are 4 reasons why you need to learn to use style sheets. First, you can zoom in and out. For example, here's my term paper. We go to View, Outline, and then what level? We're going to go to 2 levels, and you can see the structure right here. We could go to 1 level and just see the main headings, and then back to the 2nd level, and now we'll go all the way back to the print version so you can see that. There's your zooming in and out. Next, you can generate table of contents. So in this term paper, I already have table of contents, but I'm going to delete it and show you how to generate it. So we go to References. Here is Table of Contents. I'll use Custom Table of Contents, and we'll use Formal, and click, and there it is. Next, it provides efficiency of a global change in your paper. For example, suppose I wanted to change the spacing of the body text from 11 point to single space or double space. Let's change it to double space. So for example, I could highlight this. I go to Home, and we have body text right in here, but I wanted to change it to double space. And so we'll go exact to double space, and then we're going to change this. I'm going to right click and update, and you see everything changes to double space. I don't have to go through each paragraph and change it. And last, I can edit and rearrange sections. So let's go back to View, Outline, and we'll take it to 2 levels. You see that? And suppose that I wanted to change all of this section right in here, that is a major human section, and put it up here. I could simply go Cut and then Paste, and now we have the whole thing rearranged. We'll go View, Print, and we can see that we have the human section here, and the evolution section follows. So let me start by defining a style sheet. A style sheet is a type of template file consisting of font, paragraph, and layout settings to give a standardized look to document. So let's get started. Step 1, set up document. First, I'm going to show you how to set up view all non-printing characters and why this is important. Secondly, we set our margins at 1 inch top and bottom, 1.5 left and right. We set up layout, different first page. I'll show you that menu option. And then we set up page numbers. It'll be after the first page, right justified, Times New Roman, and 11-point font. So let me start by showing you this mocked up term paper. You can see the title here, your name, course, and so forth. This would be the cover sheet. And then we have a summary here. Introduction, you see I've labeled these headings level 1, and then we go down here, you can see subheading level 2 and so forth. Here would be the first main section, another heading 1, but then subheading, and you get the idea here. Okay, so we'll go clear to the end. All right, here's the references. Let's go back to the top. Now, one of the first things you want to do is set up so that you can see non-printing characters. Let me show you. So you see nothing here, and I'm going to show you right here. You go to Options, and then Display, and you see Show All Formatting Marks. These are all non-printing. This would be like paragraphs and tabs and so forth. So we're going to go. Now, you can see this. These are the paragraph icons. This would be column break. So you can see why you have a white space. You're controlling your white space here. There's paragraph and so forth. This is very important in word processing. Okay, next we're going to set up the margins, and that would be, I go to Layout, Margins, Custom Margins. And so you can see here we have top and bottom already 1 inch. We want our left and right 1.5 inches each. Gives nice wide margins, and it helps reading. And so there that is. And one more thing, we have layout, and this would be different first page, so that we don't want page numbers on the first page. That's why we're checking this. All right, so now we're set up. You can see those margins. Now the third part, we're going to go to the insert page numbers. So we'll do that here. We have page number We're going to top of page, and there it's inserted. Now I'm going to format that so that we go to home. We want everything in Times Roman, so this is Times Roman. I'm going to go 11-point font and then right justify. So there it is at the top and so forth. So we go back here. Now we can see it's not on the first page, but it is on all subsequent pages. So there we have this setup. So let's go to step 2, set style specifications. This will be clear once I get into demonstration, but here are the specifics. We have title. That's centered 18-point Times Roman. We're going to use that only in the title. We have subtitle, centered 14-point, so it's smaller font, and so forth. You can look at all the specifications here just by stopping the video. We have normal, this justified 11-point Times Roman, and so forth. We have heading 1, left justified. Heading 2, left justified. You'll see that's a 1/2-inch indent too. And then we have hanging. This is a custom style. So let's go back to our term paper here. So you see I'm on the home, at the home menu, and here is the style section of the home. If you haven't seen it before, now you have. You see these various boxes right up here that refers to the styles. So everything is set in normal style by default in Word. No doubt you've already modified your draft, but in any case you can see here that everything is on normal. All this text, that's the one that is highlighted right here. Now we're going to right click here to modify. This will modify every part of the document, every paragraph. So we're going to, we want Times Roman, we want 11-point font, we want to make sure it's in black. Now we're going to format the paragraph, and we'll go to 6-point, that is a 1/2 space after. We're going to exact spacing, not single space, but exact spacing, and this will be 15-point. We want this to be indented a 1/2 inch, and we want this to be fully justified. So let's go with that. We'll take a look. So see that? Everything is now justified. There's a 1/2 space after everything right in here. These are our headings and subheadings and so forth. We're going to modify those in 1 second. All right, so there's the document. So that is normal. Now, let's go to title. We're going to go right here. So I click title right here. That's clearly not the font we want or the color and so forth. We're going to go in, we're going to right click this and modify. So we're going to go in, we want this black. We want this to be 11-point font. It's already Times Roman. Let's go into format. We'll go format paragraph, and we want this, we don't care about exactly anymore. We want this centered. And so there it is. We want this to be 18-point font. So I'm going back to change the font here. So I think we're set. There it is. So look at that. There's our term paper. It's in 18-point font. Now, term paper, that is a title. So now we go to subtitle. So we're going to find our subtitle here. The default is not what we want, but we're going to right click this, go into modify, and again we're going black. This is already at Times Roman, but we want this to be 14-point. Now let's go into format the paragraph. And so we're going to go single space for each of those, and we want this to be centered. And there's that. And let's take a look. There it is. So there's your title and subtitle. We're calling this subtitle even though it's not. We're just formatting your name and course and so forth in that space. Okay, now let's go to the headings. We'll look at this one right in here. So here's heading 1. Remember, this is all set at normal, but now we want heading 1. We're going to modify that. So we're going to right click, modify, and we want this to be Times Roman. We want it to be 11-point font, black, and we're going to format the paragraph as in after just 6-point. We're going to go exactly again, and that will be 15-point. And we want this left justified, and so, and there's that, and we want this to be font to be bold. So there is that. And so there is our heading 1. Now let's go to heading 2. Here's a subheading 2 level. Let's modify that. And so we're going to right click, modify, and here we want Times Roman, again 11 point, black, and let's go into formatting. The paragraph, we want half a space again when it's single, or sorry, we want it to be exactly, and here's our 15 point again, and we want this, the first line to be indented. Okay, so there is that. And so you see this is the heading. Let's just go up here and I'll put this into the heading right in here. So last, let's jump down to the references. And this is in the normal style yet from where we originally set it, but we want this to be a hanging paragraph. So we're going to format this the way we want it to be, and we'll leave it with 6 point after, exactly 15 point for spacing and so forth, but we want this to be hanging. And so let's look at it this way. That's what we want. Now we're going to create style, and we'll give this a name. We'll just call it hang para, as in paragraph. And so there is that. So now we have that set. So now we're ready to format the entire document. So let's go to our final step. Step 3, finalize term paper. We're going to apply styles throughout the paper, produce a table of contents, run through a technical checklist, and then I'll give my closing thoughts. So here's our paper. We already have the title and the subtitles properly formatted. We had our summary, the headings, and so, but we need our subheadings right in here, so we'll go through right here and make these subheadings, put these into the appropriate style. Here's a main heading. There's a main heading, subheading, now we get to the bottom here, we have this main heading, and we have the first one as a hanging paragraph, but we still need to get them all. So I'm going to highlight all of these references and put them into a hanging paragraph. So now you can see this is that they're all hanging paragraphs. All right, so now we're set. So let's take a look at our document. So I'm going to go to the read mode, then view, layout, and then paper layout. And we'll just take a quick look here. You can see how beautiful this is with the spacing below the main headings and subheadings and between paragraphs. Nicely justified, very wide margins, so it makes it easier reading. Shorter line lengths are easier to read than across the page. And there's our references. Now, we're going to go back and we'll make a table of contents. And I'll put that right in here. So let's go here to references and then table of contents. And I'll just pick this first one right in here. So look at that. So now we have our table of contents. Beautiful. We'll put this in a nicer font. So let's put this in Times Roman. We can keep it large, and we'll make sure it's black right in here. And so there's that. And let's put a hard a section break across here, or a page break. And so now we have that. And you can see that now we have our title page. There's our table of contents. We have a summary, and there's a whole document right through here. So let's take a look at the research term paper appearance overview here. The first 3 pages, the title page, table of contents, and summary. You have the next 3 pages. Look at that nice clean formatting, clean margins, spacing after each paragraph and the subheadings. Makes it much easier to read. And then this is the last page. In an earlier version I had a figure that I took out for the demonstration I just gave. But there's a look of the paper. Now here's a technical checklist. We have our margins, we have our page numbers, you have title page, table of contents, summary, both headings, level 1, and then the subheadings, level 2. You have your normal style, which would be for most of your body text, and then you have hanging paragraph used in your references, and you can also use them as in your table legend and your figure legend. So here's my closing thoughts. Style and proper formatting of a term paper are not cosmetic additions. Rather, they are requirements. Although they are not substitutes for either the research or the writing of your term paper, they are complementary components that enhance reader engagement and indicate your care in term paper preparation.